Hello, my friends, and welcome back. Today we're going to make this fun little interactive pop-up Santa card, and we're going to be using a couple of the new stamp sets and some of the new dies and a couple of the old dies from La La Land Crafts, the new November release. So to get started, first let's show you what we're working towards. So we've got our card here, and you can see I've got like an indoor-outdoor scene, and I'll show you how to create that as well. And when you pull the little tab, Santa pops up. And it's super easy. Basically what this is taking one of those double slider surprise type cards and shrinking that that little mechanism in the back way down to where we can just use it to pop up one character instead of moving an entire card. So I'm going to start off by making my background, and I'm going to use some stormy skies. I've got some faded jeans, wilted violet, and some black soot. And I'm going to create my nighttime sky. And once I've done creating my sky here, you want to let this dry before you move on to the next step, because if you don't let it dry, there's a really good chance that whatever you're using to create your snowy scene will change color. So what I did was I dried it up with a heat gun, and then I also let it sit for a while I was doing some other things. So I'm going to take the Snowy Hills dye, that's also one of the new releases, and some of this texture paste, and it's an opaque white. So as long as your panel is dry in the back, your snow will stay nice and white if you use something like this. I'm just going to use my palette knife and get a good even spread all over just the part that is going to be seen, because as you could tell from the beginning video, um, the whole bottom half of this card is all an indoor scene anyway, so we don't need to go too far down with that snow. Let the magic happen, take off the stencil, and there is your snow scene. Now you want to make sure that is also completely dry before you move on to your next step, which is what we're working on right now. And I'm going to create both an indoor and an outdoor scene. So I got this paper from one of the paper packs, and I will have all of the products that I use listed on the coordinating blog post. So if you see something in here and I don't mention the name of it, it will be linked on the blog post. So if you head over there, you'll see some other pictures, also what colors I used to color all these guys in, and links to all of the products that we used. So for this, I'm using the Build a House die, and I'm creating myself a roof line and then the snowy roof peak that goes over the top. And then I'm going to take that same brown that I used for my roof line, and I'm going to use it to kind of go out on either side so that I can create a flat space for the chimney. I don't want my chimney to be crooked because that would make it hard for Santa to get in and out. So this is how I solved that problem. And then I just removed all the excess. Now I'm going to create a baseboard, not baseboard, what do you call that? Wood panel at the bottom, I don't know. I just wanted to break up all that wallpaper. So you will see there are some holes that I cut out here because originally my plan was to have it also light up. I still had one light left over and some copper wire from my last video, and so I was going to do that, but it didn't work out. So I cut all of that out of the video, but you can still see the remnants of like here where the light would have been, but I think I was overreaching. I mean, technically it worked, but the light was so bad. Anyway, let's get back to this. So Santa, we need to mark where we want him to be when he pops up out of the chimney. So we're going to make a line at the bottom of where his foot is and the top where we want him to stop. So you can see there I've got two pencil lines, and I am just going to create a track. So we're just going to connect those pencil lines, and we're going to take our craft knife and we are going to cut that channel out for Santa's foot. So that foot right there is the one that I'm going to be using to secure Santa to the track. And I'm just going to use a little piece of foam tape, and you just place the foam tape right on the bottom of his shoe there. And then when I flip it over, you'll see that that fits right inside the track. I'm going to tape him down so he doesn't move while we're working on the back side. And see, there's the foam tape and the track. Now we're going to work on the actual mechanism. So for this mechanism, it's about 1.5 inches wide for me, but whatever, yours is probably going to be different depending on what size card you make, where you place your elements, etc. So you're going to end up having to figure out size-wise how wide you need it and how long you need it, depending on the size of your track and where everything is going to be. For me, I just needed to be 3 inches, about 3 inches long, so it's about 3.5 there, and I've got some little 1/2 inch on either end, and that is so that I can give myself a little space to place my plastic. So I'm going to remove those, And then I gave myself about 1/4 of an inch on either side, which is where I'm going to be placing my foam tape, because you want to pop this up. So let's remove those end pieces, and now we're going to place our plastic. So I will zoom in so that you can see where all the plastic is going to go. So this is just a piece of packaging that I cut down, and I'm going to use some double-sided tape. Make sure it's on there really good. Just place that right along the bottom of my plastic. And then you'll have to kind of experiment with this, but you want it to be not too tight, not too loose. That's the best way I can explain it. You want it to move freely, but you don't want it to be floppy at all. Now you're going to remove your excess packaging or whatever plastic you're using. Some people use grocery bags, some people use doggy bags, whatever you've got. And see, it slides nice and easy back and forth. And that line right there where the double-sided tape is important to watch, because that is your line where you're going to decide if you're going to go up or down, is where you're going to attach. So I've got this little piece of cardstock here, which is how I'm going to attach Santa's foot to the slider. So I'm just figuring out right now how to make sure that he's going to go up or down. So when I pull, it's just figuring out if I'm which side. I don't know how to explain it other than when you're watching it, you can kind of see, and when you're playing around with it, you'll see what I mean. And now I'm just going to attach Santa's foot to that little piece of cardstock that I attached to the back side of the slider. And I'm also putting down my foam tape. And now you see when you pull, Santa moves up and down the track. So now you just need to add a pull tab to the back. So I took another piece of that pattern paper, and all you're going to do is attach it to the top, because when you pull down, that's how Santa moves up and down. Super easy. So now we're going to attach the front of our card, and we want to make sure that this is popped up so that Santa is behind everything and he has some room to move. So you want to be mindful of where your double-sided foam tape is, so that it doesn't hinder Santa's movement up and down. And now we're going to start decorating the inside of our house. And I am going to kind of speed through the actual decorating part, because it's basically just placing down all of these elements. I did use the chimney die in the back of the fireplace because it's got that same brick, and I just used some black paper. And now I'm just placing all of my elements down. Originally, those trees were going to have lights light up behind them because they do have the stitched element in them and you can see through them. So if you are able to make this work out properly, you would be able to light up the stitched parts behind the tree. But like I said, my light didn't work because there was not enough light to go that far. It just didn't work out. So now I'm going to place on my little critters, and these guys are from the Happy Trails. So you can see here that I've used the stitched trees. There's also some small stars. Those are older. The fireplace die. I'm using the campfire die. I'm using the little greenery from the staircase set. And then I've got the stockings, which come in the fireplace die. I used the small half doily for the little carpet in front. And now I'm placing on his little... So originally my idea was that it looked half done because they were decorating, but that drove me crazy, and I ended up going back and putting everything else on the fireplace and still having them. I don't know, it was weird. I couldn't leave it half done. So this here was something fun I thought would be kind of cute. So La La Land also has digital images. So you can get your stamps either red rubber or digital. And this is the Winter Critters digitals, and I just shrunk them down, colored them in, and then covered them up with the frames, which come in the staircase die. And then I trimmed them all out so that it kind of looks like their little family, the little Winter Critter family above the fireplace. And now I put the front on the back, and then that's pretty much it. Originally, you would have been able to push that "Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas" and the lights would have lit up, but I removed all of that. So anyway, I want to thank you guys so much for stopping by. I hope that you were able to follow this. Remember, there's a coordinating blog post that will give you a little bit more information, also links to all of these dies and some of the coloring information. And again, thanks so much for stopping by. I will see you again real soon with another project from La La Land Crafts. Bye-bye!